Hello and welcome to Straight Talk. I'm Ayşe Süberkaş. Less than a week after Azerbaijan declared victory over Armenian separatists in Karabakh, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdoğan arrived in the country's western enclave, Nakhchivan, where he met his Azerbaijani counterpart, Ilham Aliyev. The visit came as both a show of support and to sign a string of new deals covering energy, security and transport. Erdoğan, who praised Azerbaijan's success and the care taken to protect civilians, said a new pipeline would help the region's energy security.
Biraz önce temelini attığımız
The Nakhchivan natural gas pipeline will deepen Turkey's partnership with Azerbaijan and will contribute to Europe's energy security supply.
The new 85-kilometer gas pipeline runs to Nakhchivan, a strategic enclave nestled between Armenia and Iran that shares Azerbaijan's only border with Turkiye. Meanwhile, Azerbaijani officials and representatives of the Armenian residents of Karabakh agreed on Monday to create a joint working group for civil activities in the region. Last week, Azerbaijan launched an anti-terror operation in Karabakh, where a ceasefire was signed in less than 24 hours. Karabakh, which was the site of the 2020 war between Baku and Yerevan, is internationally recognized as part of Azerbaijan. And to further discuss the two leaders' meeting in Nakhchivan and stability in South Caucasus, joining me now from Istanbul is Matthew Bryza. He's a former U.S. ambassador. And Ahmet Keser, he is an associate professor at Hasan Kalyoncu University. Gentlemen, welcome to Straight Talk. It's good to have you on the program. So, Ahmet, can you talk to us about the significance of President Erdogan's visit to the Azerbaijan enclave of Nakhchivan, which came less than a week after Baku declared victory over the Armenian separatists in Karabakh?
First of all, thanks for having me, Ayşe. Of course, we can evaluate the issue at least in a couple of specific points. The first of all is the support provided, given by Turkey to Azerbaijan before, during, and after the operation. So just for that reason, that is significant. The second, it's giving some signals about the further steps, because the visit is not to Baku, but Nakhchivan enclave. So that means that the next steps will be about at least concentrating on the connection of Nakhchivan autonomous region of Azerbaijan with the mainland Azerbaijan territory. We can understand from this visit at least. So it gives that kind of a signal, maybe about the Zangezur corridor. We can talk about it later, of course, in details.
So, Matthew, what do you think? Is the opening of the Zangezur corridor a real possibility now? And if opened, how will this corridor change the political landscape in the region?
It is a real possibility, and it's supposed to happen based on previous agreements. For example, a November 2020 ceasefire statement that ended that phase of the war, there was a point that said all transportation corridors are reopened. That includes this one. But Armenia has not wanted to proceed with the corridor for a number of reasons. And President Erdogan had been behind the scenes encouraging there to be a deal whereby, and he talked to Prime Minister Pashinyan 2 weeks ago, by the way, about this, that the Zangezur corridor would open together with the Lachin corridor. So now the way is open politically, I think, for this to happen. The Iranians are still opposing the corridor, however. But another important thing happened yesterday. President Erdogan and President Aliyev, they inaugurated a brand new natural gas pipeline, a small one, that connects Nakhchivan with Turkey's main natural gas network. That sends a signal that if we're unable to build the pipelines across from Azerbaijan through the Zangezur corridor to Nakhchivan, well, we have an alternative with Turkey.
So, Ahmet, will Armenia, as requested by Turkish President Erdogan, grab this opportunity for a lasting peace in the region?
That's a very significant question, Ayşe. Of course, there are some differences in the point of perspectives between the two countries. But I think the Armenian part is now coming to a point that without the support of Turkey and without the inclusion of the regional countries in the Caucasus, we can include this Georgia, Azerbaijan, Turkey, I think the peace is impossible in this region. And there is not any corridor or road or landscape of Armenia which is directly opening to coastal sites. So I think these connections and the economic connections can be conducted directly by the support of Turkey and Azerbaijan as well. I think it is a very beneficial issue for Armenia as well if the lasting peace can be constructed in the region. Of course, there are some different perspectives, but I think the problems we cannot define those problems which are not, which doesn't have any solution. Those are, I think, easy problems now after the Karabakh problem is solved.
So, Matthew, you talked about the Nakhchivan natural gas pipeline, which will run for about 85 kilometers. How important is this project, and how will it contribute to Europe's energy supply and security? Saying that, what kind of a potential does Nakhchivan carry in terms of energy and security?
In terms of the grand geopolitical game about natural gas pipelines that provide non-Russian gas, this won't contribute at all to it, because it'll bring gas from Idir to Nakhchivan, which until 15 years ago had no natural gas supplies, and then now receives natural gas from Iran. So this is a chance to use natural gas or energy as a way further to bind together the economies of Turkiye and of Azerbaijan. And by the way, I think that area of Nakhchivan, up in the northwest corner of Nakhchivan, is very special because it's the one place where Azerbaijan, Turkiye, and Armenia all come together. So in my private sector life, I've been thinking through how to build maybe an industrial zone, an organized industrial zone on the territory of all three countries that uses that natural gas that'll come from the Idir-Nakhchivan pipeline. It's early stage thinking, but until now, the Armenian side didn't want to talk about this because they, I think, wanted still to have a bit more of a confrontation with Azerbaijan in Karabakh. Now, again, the situation is totally different, and it's time for Armenia to reintegrate into the regional economy.
So, Ahmet, also the construction of a new railway project connecting Turkey's Kars province to Nakhchivan was agreed during their meeting. So, do we know for how long have these projects been in the making?
Well, connecting Turkey to Nakhchivan is not a very big deal, but we can see this is a start point of the opening all the transportation and economic connections from Nakhchivan to Azerbaijan as well, because the 1920 ceasefire agreement's 9th article uploads the signing parties a responsibility about opening all the economic and transportation roads, and Armenia shall guarantees the connection of Nakhchivan autonomous region to Azerbaijan with these connections. So starting a railroad connecting Turkey directly to Nakhchivan, and then the railroad and of course the land road, which will be connecting Nakhchivan with Azerbaijan. Of course, Azerbaijan side entitles this issue as Zengezur corridor, but in the ceasefire agreement, Armenia tells that there is nothing entitled as Zengezur. That is economic connections. I think that might be a start point, a good start point for that one.
So, Matthew, following Baku's victory over Armenian separatists in Karabakh, what's the current situation in Armenia? I mean, is there a substantial reaction to the Pashinyan government?
Yeah, there's a combination of hysteria and extreme anger with the most vocal political actors out in the street in Yerevan calling Pashinyan a traitor for signing on to another ceasefire and calling for him to resign. But there are reasons, and then we have, something like 13,000 ethnic Armenians that have already fled Karabakh. But you have other Armenians I've known through all my years working on this conflict for the last 21 years, by the way, including as the U.S. mediator of it. There are Armenians who didn't like the confrontational approach that Pashinyan was forced into. Pashinyan and the ethnic Armenians in Karabakh were taken political hostage by the local Armenian leaders who really wanted to provoke a conflict. I think there are many in Armenia who are breathing a sigh of relief and hope. Some of those Armenian residents of Karabakh will stay. It's always been Azerbaijan's goal to keep the Armenians and have them feel safe and have them prosper, but as citizens of Azerbaijan, as Azerbaijanis return to the homes from which they were expelled in what was a case of ethnic cleansing back in 1994 during the first Karabakh War. So you hear a lot of concern about ethnic cleansing on the Armenian side. It's justified. And one reason is because revenge is a powerful, motivating emotion. And 800,000 Azerbaijanis kicked out of their homes, hundreds who were slaughtered in Khojali, which is where the Karabakh airport sits. Yes. That leaves a really negative memory.
So, Ahmet, does the current situation suggest us that Yerevan has completely ceased its support to the Armenian separatists in the region?
First of all, I think all the parties will be aware that cooperation is better than confrontation for all the parties now. Of course, I think the control of Lachin corridor by Azerbaijan powers, military powers, will prevent the support coming from Armenian side to the separatist Armenians. And the collection, the seizure of all the weapons and ammunition from the separatist terrorist groups will also support the security situation in the region. And the ethnic Armenians living in Karabakh region, when they see that situation is getting better and better every day, by the given rights and guaranteeing their rights, using their own language, education, etc., I think the situation will get better in the region.
So, Matthew, Russia's foreign ministry has recently warned that Yerevan is making a huge mistake by deliberately trying to destroy its ties with the Russian Federation and making Republic a hostage to the geopolitical games of the West. Is Armenia decoupling from Russia for good?
It can't. I think there are short-term reasons driving Armenia in this direction. There's a misunderstanding of what the collective security treaty organization's requirements are to come to the aid of a member state, or what the role of the Russian peacekeepers are. There's no role for Russian peacekeepers in Karabakh when Azerbaijan was enforcing the ceasefire statement of November 2020 that called for the Armenian troops to leave Azerbaijani territory. There's no role for Armenian peacekeepers in that situation, but the body politic of Armenia is feeling betrayed. I think this is an emotional outburst, and, centuries of an Armenian sense of dependence on Russia for its security. Unfortunately, security against the Ottoman Empire or Turkiye and Azerbaijan today. That doesn't just go away immediately because of an emotional response to yet another military defeat.
So, Ahmet, in the face of these latest developments, what's the shape of Russia-Azerbaijan relations now? Has Turkiye's close partnership with Azerbaijan become an irritant for Russia as well as Iran?
Well, I think the Armenia's latest position and Pashinyan's attitude is very close to West, and especially the United States, of course. And I think this makes Russia a little bit, enforces Russia to put distance in between Armenia and themselves. And also, of course, I think when it goes in this way, the Russian bases in Armenia will be questionable in the next point, because they have the military bases except for these peacekeepers after the ceasefire agreement.
Yes.
So when Armenia gets closer to US and West, I think the Russian presence and Russian bases will be questionable in the region. So I think this may cause new problems between Armenia and Russia. But I think this will improve the relations between Azerbaijan and Russia again, in the opposite, if we compare with 30 years ago.
Interesting. All right, gentlemen, unfortunately, we'll have to leave it here. Thank you very much for joining me on Straight Talk.